Develop your own language in this light and fun game, Gibberers.
And today we'll be teaching you how to play Gibberers, game designed by Keisei and published by Hobby Japan.
And hello everyone, it's Stella.
And Tarrant from Meeple University.
Alright, let's get to the classroom.
In Gibberers, players are working together as a civilization trying to develop its language. You'll start from primitive beginnings, a vocabulary of only 18 words, passed down from the tales of your distant ancestors. Before, round after round, your civilization will gain new knowledge, invent new words to describe it, and ensure mutual understanding among all players, all while speaking only in your new language. As your knowledge builds, your civilization grows in its development, and you can develop more and more complex and modern knowledge. In the end, the legacy of your civilization will be based on the quality of the records it keeps. Gibberers has two modes of play, casual and expert, covered by separate rulebooks, but following a lot of the same rules. The casual mode plays over 7 rounds and takes about an hour. The expert mode plays over 15 rounds and can take as long as 3. In this video, we'll take you through the casual rules first, and then go through the differences you need to play in the expert mode. To set up, you'll need the game's cardboard components. This includes the mentor token, the main board, which you'll set up on its casual side, which shows this single circle in the center, the 5 Enlighten tokens, the index markers, and the development tokens. Choose one player to take the mentor token. They will be the starting mentor. Shuffle the face-down stacks of Generation 1, 2, and 3 knowledge cards. You can return 4 and 5 to the box. These are used only in the expert mode. Next, you'll move to a phase called Generation 0. At the end of Generation 0, you will have made the initial 18 words which form your new language. You'll complete this phase fully cooperatively and with open conversation in your native language. For example, my group would be speaking English. This is important to remember. Once you've got these basic 18 words, most of your conversation thereafter is going to have to happen in your new language. Each of the 18 words which start your new language has 2 components, a pronunciation and a meaning. And you're free to put these words together in whatever way you want, with only 2 restrictions. Firstly, that the pronunciation should not be recognizable as the word in your native language. For example, don't use something like schmorter for water. It is against the rules and the spirit of the game. And secondly, among the 18 words, you must include words with these 4 meanings: yes, no, I, and no. To be in the spirit of the game, you should also remember that at this point in time, you're a prehistoric society. And so your words should have meanings consistent with that time period. For example, it wouldn't be appropriate for one of your starting meanings to be computer. If the team's having any difficulty getting things going in this phase, the game does come with a few helpful guides. To generate pronunciations, you can try using these letter grid cards. Just look through the grid and find a combination of letters that you like the sound of. And if you're struggling to think of era-appropriate words, then you can use these 5 cards, which give you some helpful tips, or look at the cave paintings on the other sides and use meanings that you derive from there. For an even quicker start, the rulebook has some presets of pronunciations and of meanings. You could also choose to take it in turns around the table, inventing 1 word each at a time until you have a set of 18. Whatever method you use, arrange your 18 words underneath their index tiles based on how you've written out the pronunciations. This area is called your dictionary. All players should now take a moment to practice their new language and introduce themselves. For example, Adair Tarrant. To which my teammates would respond, Rilcob. Give your civilization a name, and you're now ready to move from Generation 0 to the development phase, which is the core of the game. Development takes place over 3 generations, and each generation takes place over a series of rounds. In each round, one player takes on the role of mentor, with all others serving as students. The basic flow of the round is that the mentor will secretly look at a knowledge card, choose one of the 5 knowledges on it, invent a new pronunciation for that knowledge, and then try to get the students to work out the meaning of that knowledge using a conversation which occurs only in your new language. The mentor can choose any one of the 5 knowledges on the card, but do take note of the icons on the left, representing words for daily use, concepts, military, science, and wonders. You'll want to consider over the course of the entire game whether your language is specialised or generalised, as there are benefits for each. Let's suppose here the mentor has chosen the 4th option, which has 2 meanings, clouds and float. Whenever there are 2 meanings within a given knowledge, ignore the second one for now. That means that in this case, the mentor is specifically trying to get the students to understand the concept of clouds. The mentor now writes the new pronunciation and places it face up into the central area. You'll now move to the Enlighten phase of the round, and this is the phase where the mentor tries to get the meaning across to the students. To track this phase, first give the students a number of Enlighten tokens based on the current generation, 5 in generation 1, 4 in generation 2, or 3 in generation 3. These are used to track your allowable number of guesses and hints. The mentor and students are allowed to have any amount of conversation that they want in order to determine this new meaning, as long as it only occurs in your new language. The mentor and students are also allowed to use gestures during this conversation. So here the mentor might say, Zisla, dofue wuktek suiza. Or perhaps, deket suiza, wuktek zisla suiza puche. The students could ask questions. Dukua? Chiek. Or the mentor could simply say wuktek while trying to mime the shape of a cloud in the air. The mentor is not limited only to creating the single new word corresponding to the knowledge card. Once per knowledge, they're allowed to create a second new word called a support word. Let's suppose here I was struggling to get from my current set of words to cloud, but I felt I could make it work if the language had a word for sky. So, as the mentor, I'll simply make up a word for sky. However, like the main knowledge, you're only allowed to give the new pronunciation and then have to explain its meaning to the students using the existing words in your new language. Now, the mentor might say, Deket suiza oyoi suiza puche, to get the students to understand that oyoi means sky. Then say Zisla, oyoi wuktek zulri, for the students to interpret Zisla as cloud. Support words can be helpful to make large jumps from your current language to the new knowledge, as well as to fill out your dictionary more quickly, because this allows you to add 2 words to the dictionary each round instead of 1. During the Enlighten phase, there are 3 hints available to the students, and to use one, an Enlighten token needs to be spent on the matching hint. Each hint may be used at most once per round. Using the Ancestor hint allows the mentor to choose any one of the cave painting cards and point at any one feature on that card. Taking the Telepathy hint lets the mentor write down the native language meaning for the support word used this round. And the Inspiration hint lets the mentor point at a character or letter on a word somewhere within the dictionary. The aim of the Enlighten phase is to identify the meaning of the knowledge word. You do not have to do this for the support word. A student who thinks they know says, I know, in the new language, expends an Enlighten token, and makes the guess in the player's native language. This is the first and only time during the Enlighten phase that English or your native language is allowed to be spoken. If you're correct, then the mentor answers yes in your new language. If incorrect, the mentor answers no in your new language. And then you continue playing, speaking only the new language, until you either have a correct guess or you've run out of Enlighten tokens. Whether the team succeeded or failed, you now always fill in the meanings for any new words, using the full definition from the knowledge card. So in this case, clouds float rather than simply cloud. This represents your civilization deriving a new verb or adjective based on the distinguishing features of the newly defined noun. Now add the new words to the dictionary. Then, if the students did successfully get the meaning, then gain development tokens based on the row of the knowledge card you completed, placing them on the bright side, not the spent side. Between Enlighten phases, teams are allowed to spend 2 matching development tokens or a single wonder development to discuss, create, and add 1 new word to their dictionary. You get to discuss and develop this bonus word in your native language exactly as you did during Generation 0, rather than having to discuss the word in your new language, making this a powerful bonus. Finally, hand the mentor token 1 step clockwise and proceed to the next round. The team will play a total of 4 knowledge rounds in Generation 1, and this will cover more words from the primitive to ancient era. You'll then proceed to Generation 2. You'll play 2 rounds from this deck using the same rules, except that you now have only 4 Enlighten tokens per knowledge instead of 5. And this will feature knowledge from the medieval era. Finally, you'll proceed to Generation 3. There will be a single round in this era, featuring modern words and 3 Enlighten tokens. There is 1 key new restriction in Generation 3, namely that you're no longer allowed to make gestures when you try to convey the meanings of your new words. You're now a civilized modern society, and you need to get your point across with words alone. Winning or losing a casual game of Gibberers all comes down to whether or not you succeed or fail at this final card. Guess the final meaning correctly and you win, run out of Enlighten tokens, and you lose. The expert version of Gibberers has the same basic flow of play, but has a few specific differences which we'll cover here. In Generation 0, you no longer have free choice of words, nor can you use the predetermined sets. Now for your first 18 words, your meanings must be yes, no, I, no, and any 14 features you can identify on the 5 cave painting cards. This truly and thematically represents your starting language being handed down from generations ancient. You'll use the expert side of the board, and there are slight changes to the hints. The ancestor hint still costs 1 Enlighten token and allows you to point at a cave painting, while the telepathy hint still allows the mentor to write the meaning for this round's support word, but it now costs 2 Enlighten tokens instead of 1. The inspiration hint now costs 3 Enlighten tokens, but it allows the mentor to immediately come up with an entirely new word and meaning and add it straight into the dictionary for immediate use. In casual play, the mentor was always trying to guide the team to the first word, while in expert play, you can guide them to either word. The first word is always a simple noun, while the second word is an adjective or verb, and usually a bit harder to guide towards. The full expert game is played over 15 knowledge. You'll do 4 knowledge cards from Generation 1, with 5 Enlighten tokens per knowledge, 5 knowledge cards in Generation 2, with 4 Enlighten tokens per knowledge, 3 knowledge cards from Generation 3, with 3 Enlighten tokens per knowledge, and gestures no longer allowed from this point forward during the Enlighten phase, 2 knowledge from Generation 4, with 2 Enlighten tokens per knowledge, and 1 final knowledge from Generation 5 with a single token. Through these examples, you can see how modern and complex the words are going to become. You'll assess a final score for your civilization by adding up points values for all of the development tokens you've collected, whether spent or unspent. Gain 1 point per basic token and 3 for each wonder, as well as 4 points for each set of 4 different basic icons, with wonders counting as wild. Here we have 11 points for basic tokens, 6 for wonders, and 12 for sets, a total of 29. Check your score against the table in the rulebook, but most importantly, have fun. And that's how to play Gibberers.
And thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know and share this video if you enjoyed. And hopefully you have a wonderful day. See you next time.